Atomfall, this action survival game you needed in your life. Hello and welcome to the Critically Curious. I'm Monk, and today, yes, we are doing a first impression slash gameplay video for Atomfall. Now, I don't feel I've put enough time into it to kind of do a review. I haven't completed it yet. This is around a 15-hour game, and I've played around 8 hours. I've actually played far too much for first impressions, to be fair. Now, like I said, Atomfall is an action survival game. It's been developed and published by Rebellion Developments. It's currently available on the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the PC. It's also available on the old gen console, so the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, interestingly enough. This is also on Game Pass with day one release. So if you're at least a little bit interested in playing this game and you have an Xbox, then you can play it for absolutely free over on that. But if you're looking to buy this game, it will set you back around £54.99, depending, of course, on which platform you're buying it on. Now, that seems a little bit steep, considering, like I said, this is around a 15-hour game if you was to beeline through the main story. If you pick up the side quest, it could take you around 25 hours, possibly, to actually, see everything that this game has to offer. But nevertheless, it is on the smaller side for that AAA rated price range. Now, just to point out, I'm not going to be covering the main story in this game. I do think the main story in this game is actually really interesting, but it's one of those games that if half of this game is seeking out that story, in my opinion. So I don't really want to touch that in this video. I might touch on it in a full review, but for this video, I'm just going to completely clear it out because I honestly think it is best for you to discover that. But we will be talking about a side quest or two. Now, this is a really quirky, oddball game. As someone who lives currently in the UK, I am English. Playing this game is interesting hoot because, this is based in 1960s England. It is based around the idea of alternative history. So in the 1960s, the Windscale nuclear disasters turned much of the north of the UK into a radioactive quarantine zone. And you start the game in a little village in Cumberland, close to the Lake District. So it's really interesting, like as an English person jumping into this game, seeing the scenery, walking around one of these, quite quaint villages while holding a cricket bat or an old school truncheon. You also see very old school, and I do mean old school because they literally do not exist in England anymore, the red telephone boxes. Picking up Cornish pasties and visiting your local pub. It's a very, quaint little English game. I think it is probably based upon like how maybe Americans see, England and the UK. So I do find it quite interesting. The voices as well. There is an eclectic array of accents in this game, which I think's interesting. Now, one of the things that kind of struck me with this game, I felt watching the trailer going in, that this was going to feel very much like Fallout, and you do have a few of those elements. There are definitely, like for instance, being able to collect comic books and odd scraps here and there, and going around the world picking up junk and trying to craft it into something a little bit more useful. It's a little bit interesting the way that works. There is a barter system as well. So if you do pick up a load of junk, you are actually able to, trade that in for something a little bit more useful. But this game, really played on the hardest difficulties, is one of those games where you yourself have to use your intelligence to navigate the world. Like, for instance, right now, I walked into the local church and I walked upon something quite drastic. Someone is clearly dead. And the vicar's asking me not to tell the locals about why, sorry, not to tell the locals that this event happened. And it's up to you to do whatever you want to do in this scenario. You can absolutely agree to help the vicar out. You could investigate the crime yourself and figure out who done it, which is actually a really interesting side quest. It takes you all over the town, and it's one that I would actually recommend you go ahead and do. Or, of course, you could take that lucky little cricket bat that I've been taking around with me and just clobber the lot of them. It really is up to you, and I think that's really, really interesting. Like I said, this is an action survival game, emphasis on survival, because the combat can be really unforgiving. You can die very, very, very quickly. Luckily, a lot of it is melee combat, and there is a stealth system involved as well. You can hide in the grass, for instance. And a lot of it is, 1 to 2 hit kills. So it's very, very quick. As long as you can manage the distance on your own body, you should be able to do relatively well at combat. One thing I would say is that if you get shot, well, you're pretty much dead. And no matter what gun you use, it really is one-shot kill, pretty much, unless you've got absolutely awful aim. The weapons in the game are pretty good. There is quite an array of them, definitely loads and loads of melee weapons, and I've seen quite a few ranged weapons as well. All of them look pretty much the same, though. They feel pretty much the same. They sound pretty much the same. I think maybe a little bit of a better job could have been done on the weapons in this game, and the AI. The AI is pretty awful. Like, you could take down someone right here, like this guy. Apparently, I'm hidden. I don't know how he doesn't see me. I'm directly in front of him. I'm not actually in long grass either, but apparently I'm completely hidden and he can't see me. So it means that I can sneak up behind him and knock him out. If there was a guard nearby, as well as this one, I could kill this one, make a noise, and the other one would just walk straight in the same line, allowing me to rinse and repeat. So the AI absolutely needs a little bit of work. While we're talking about flaws during the game, I did have a few issues. Playing on the Xbox X, the quick resume is not something I would rely on. That kind of crashed out quite hard. Also, I had the sound completely drop out on me. I'm not really sure what's happening there, but I had to completely just reload the game as there was no sound coming through it whatsoever. And it also had a group of 6 guards, or, a group of 6 people that did want to mean me harm, just completely disappear off the face of the planet, which was kind of lucky for me, but definitely a problem when it comes to what should be happening in the game that you're playing. But not wanting to finish this video on a down note, I'd like to talk about the voice acting, the cutscenes, that kind of thing. I think it works. Now, it's definitely low budget. It definitely doesn't look amazing. It doesn't sound amazing, but it does work really well. There is a quaint humor in the writing within this game, which I did find really enjoyable. There was quite a few occasions when, I'm listening in a conversation or engaging in a conversation to which we do have choices. I did forget to mention that you do have quite a lot of agency in this game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm engaged in quite a few conversations, and I'm laughing out loud to the dialogue that's been written. It is quite humorous in places.
How do? Not often we're seeing new faces here. My name's Alf Buckshaw. Welcome to what's likely the last pub in Cumberland, such as it is. Now, what can I do for you? Fountains of beer, dancing girls, and the finest cuisine in the land. Well, we've got some beer. And I found a pickled onion in a jar in the back of the cupboard. Seriously, mind, I can get me hands on things.
And the dialogue, like, within the game was definitely enough to just keep me searching, and keep me interested. So far, what I've seen is pretty good. Yes, there's definitely been flaws. Yes, it does have a few bugs. But you know what? The game has only just released. I'm assuming they're going to try and fix those things. I think it has potential, absolutely. But I would just warn against anyone thinking that this is a Fallout game. It's absolutely not, unfortunately. As much as we would love a Fallout game, this doesn't really cover that itch, but it is a pretty decent survival game. There is a really interesting kind of mystery that is happening within this world, and it's completely up to you to discover what that is and complete this story. Let me know down in the comments if this is a game that you are going to be tried, if you've already completed it, as you know, we are 24 hours since release, and you could have completed it by now. And if you have enjoyed what you've watched, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I've been a monk who's been critically curious, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy, and as ever, guys, happy gaming.
Please, I beg of you. Just forget you saw anything here and go. Please.